Some of you may have watched the original video on dry pack canning in canning jars. This was the jar that was in that video. It has cocoa in it that was packaged. I thought I wrote it on here. I don't see it now. Oh, about 10 years ago anyway. It says baking cocoa in it. And it has up in the top, which I don't know if you can see, probably not. It still has a little, maybe now you can see it. Not really. Still has a little red, white, and blue packet in there, but it's no longer sealed. It now goes up and down, makes a noise because it's been open, so I would probably like to use this within a year or so. If the wind blows that direction. If not, I'll just hang on to it. The wind was blowing like crazy in parts of the United States in the last couple of days. It's just amazing. The destruction just seems to keep rolling on and rolling on. So back to these are breakable, obvious. That's the #1 disadvantage of dry packing in a jar. It's breakable. I would take this jar on a good day. I would take this jar and put it in a box designed for 12 jars, like a spaghetti sauce box from the grocery store. If you can twist your grocery stocking people's arms behind their back. Not really, don't do that. You can get them to do you a favor and get them to save you the boxes and hold on to the lids. Ask them not to cut the lids off or to cut the lids around on 3 sides so you can flip it open. Tape the pieces back together and flip it open. Then tape the box shut. So you could, I would only store about 9 or 10 jars like this in a spaghetti sauce box. The spaghetti sauce jars are about 28 ounces, and this is a 32-ounce jar. And besides that, the way that they're shaped, they don't usually fit in there very well. If you get a box that's designed for a little bit bigger jars, or maybe the wide jars of Miracle Whip mayonnaise, that might work better for you. But back to the topic at hand. This was in the original video. It has since been opened. If this is sealed properly, if you follow the instructions in that video, you got about 8 or 10 cents in your oxygen absorber. Seal this down tight. The lid will seal for you. It won't make that noise like it's making. And you keep it away from heat and direct sunlight in a box, and you're good to go for decades. Literally, couple to maybe 3 decades. But everything has to be extremely low in moisture and low in fat content. If you're going to dry pack in canning jars, please take the time to watch that video. It's pretty thorough. Now, having said that, just because I would doesn't mean you should. Okay, just because I would doesn't mean you should. So I'm not telling you to do this. But the unique area that I think the jars are well suited for, whether it's a pint jar, half pint jar, quart jar like this, half-gallon jar, whatever it is, the thing I think that these are very nicely suited for are things that you may not find in a cost-effective place, if you find them at all. Cost-effective price, I should say, if you find them at all commercially available, where you can get it shipped to your house. Anytime you have the money that you can spend, I shouldn't say anytime, most of the times, if you have the money that you can spend to have it delivered to your house and not fuss with it, it's a blessing. I have sealed up hundreds of cans. Stories for another day, trust me. So just because I would doesn't mean you should. I would use a jar like this, and I think it's very nicely suited. A jar like this would be very nice for the things I just bought on my order that just came in, which is creamy potato soup, cheddar broccoli soup, darn good chili, and so on and so forth. This will not fill one of those jars. This might fill a pint jar pretty tightly. Maybe not even very tightly, but for the cost that you have involved in it, and if you're really careful with the lids, you might be able to use your lids over again. You really don't have much to lose. Granted, if you have the jars, if you're not having to spend $7 a dozen for jars, or if you can get them used, or if you have somebody you can borrow them from long term. The other kind of thing that I would really like to use in a jar like that, and someday I might get around to doing more of this. Right now we go through this stuff at a rate quick enough this kind of a product quick enough that there's really no need for me to dry pack it. If you can keep a 3 or 4 month supply of food on hand and rotate those items, it would be silly for you to put them in jars. But if you want extra over and above, then you can put them in jars with oxygen absorbers, or you could order them in number 10 cans or number 5 cans, which is about 4 cups. Number 10 can is about 14 cups, which I know I said that earlier, but I'm repeating myself for effect on purpose. However, if money is an issue, which it is for most of us, and you can't buy the quantity you want because the price is too high, I would go with this all day long. All day long. I think I usually pay about $1 for these blueberry cheesecake muffins. It says just add milk on the front of it. I have made them with water. This would be very well suited for powdered milk. Very well suited for powdered milk. This is the kind of thing I would put, and I can't see myself because it's frozen. This is the kind of thing I would put in a canning jar or a little Mylar bag. And I didn't do a demo on those, but they're all over YouTube. We call them foil pouches. As members of the church, we call them foil pouches. We don't call them Mylar bags. This is a scallop potato mix made by Betty Crocker. It is 4.7 ounces. Add milk and margarine. It would very well suit itself for evaporated milk, not condensed milk. Here's the difference. Condensed is sweet, evaporated is not. This would be something on a good day that I would put in a quart jar. There's your sliced potatoes. You could use your powdered milk. You could use your condensed evaporated milk. You could use margarine powder. You could do without the butter. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. You can cut the, I would cut the top off this bag with the potatoes in it and dump it right into my quart jar. Where'd my funnel go? I would use my funnel, which I just got in the mail shipment, and I would put my potatoes in it, put it down in my quart jar that doesn't have cocoa in it. And then what you could do is you could take this packet and shake it down, and then take your pair of scissors and you could cut in this side and this side so it's not completely off. And then you could fold it, just fold the corners down. I'm not doing a very good demo here, but you could fold the corners down so that it's open where you cut it. And then stuff this down into the jar so it doesn't get messy all over. Fold it. You see it's folded. Stuff that down into the jar so that the top is open, so that when that oxygen absorber starts to absorb oxygen, for any better lack of any better way to put that, it will pull the oxygen out of this packet as well because it's wide open. If you don't care about making it a little messier, then just pour these in the jar, sprinkle that in, pour that in the jar, put the lid, put the oxygen absorber on it, put the lid on. Well, wipe it first with a dry cloth, put the lid on. And this would fit. This would fit in a pint jar. This box of scalloped potatoes would fit in a pint jar. So now you have about 12 cents maybe in your lid, about 10 cents in your oxygen absorber. So you are increasing the price of your product. But if this isn't something that you eat on a regular basis, and you can usually pick these up on sale for in the $1 range, maybe a little more. If this is something you'd like to have for food storage, but you wouldn't rotate it, because it'll be good on the shelf for, I don't know if it's got the date on here. Let's see if it has a date. How many minutes are we now? I can't see it. 9:15. I don't see the date. I'm going to say conservatively, let's see, it's best used by 14th of October 2012. So you're looking at a year easy. Looking at a year easy with these. You can go longer than that. You just because I would doesn't mean you should. It's going to be my new phrase. Make a list and check it twice so you can eat more than just beans and just rice. Just because I would doesn't mean you should. How's that? Okay, so back to the product. This would be, in my book, would be an excellent thing to put in a pint jar. You could divide that up between 4 people. long as 2 of them weren't men. No, you could divide that up between 4 people and maybe throw a can of canned ham in it and have some homemade wheat bread or some 10-minute rolls, which is on another couple videos, or 86 donuts and 86 holes or something. Some pudding, a vegetable, something to stretch it, and you'd be in good shape. Now we're over 10 minutes, so I'm going to quit. Those are things. Let's see, what was this? Did I get everything? Yeah, I think that was it. So you get the drift. Things like muffin mix, cake mix, brownie mix, pancake mix, creamy potato soup mix, cheddar broccoli mix, darn good chili mix, all those kind of things in my book. Just because I would doesn't mean you should. Would be great things to put in storage. Add water only brownie mix, add water only pudding mix, add water only muffin mix, add water. I do have a resource to get those. If you have a restaurant supply company in your area, you may be able to get your hands on add water only baking products such as cake mix and so forth. Now we're over 11 minutes. Take it easy. Bye.